Hey, what's up, guys? Rules for Rebels here. Good morning. It is a chilly December morning. I think it's like 1 degree here, so you know we're in the December holiday season. And credit card fraud really starts to pick up in December. I think on Black Friday there was a 20% increase in online credit card fraud, and we saw like last year with the whole hoverboard situation. Tony Hawk's company got in a hole over $1 million due to credit card fraud. Soldier Boy got in a hole with Shopify payments over $500,000. So just wanted to make you guys aware, it is the holiday season. Credit card fraud tends to pick up. Actually, all types of fraud tend to pick up, but especially credit card fraud with online purchases. And this can really, really cost you a lot of money. So I personally use Shopify. Shopify has some great fraud filters set up. There's also some other third-party softwares and apps and programs you can use. Your authorized.net account should have fraud filters. You can use a company called like Signified. There are credit card chargeback insurance companies who will give you a score for every order, and as long as you follow their guidance and don't ship stuff they tell you not to ship, they'll cover you or cover any losses due to credit card fraud. So I put together just a little presentation here to talk to you guys about online credit card fraud, how to be cautious of it in December, as well as all year round, and how to avoid it. So let's get into it, guys. What's up, guys? Rules for Rebels here, and today what we're going to be talking about is credit card fraud. And you should be conscious and cautious about fraudulent online orders all year round, but there seems to be a big uptick in credit card fraud around December. So I just wanted to make a video kind of making sure you guys are aware of this, making sure you know how to protect yourself, etc. Personally, I use Shopify. Shopify has a built-in fraud filter. You don't need any additional apps or programs or anything like that. It's just built right into the dashboard. When you go into your order screen to look at an order, you can see if there's low risk, medium risk, high risk, and if it's medium or high risk, you can see what the reasons are that they're telling you it's a high risk order. Now, there's also third-party apps like Signify. You can also get insurance and stuff like that, but just wanted to share some quick tips on how to avoid credit card fraud. One other thing I'll add is it's more common of more expensive or high ticket items. Also fad type items. Last year when the hoverboard craze was going on, not only is that a high ticket item, but it's also an item that's going to be very easy to resell because of the high demand. So you had a lot of credit card fraud. I had talked about how companies like Tony Hawk's IOHawk hoverboards, they got in a hole over $1 million to Shopify payments over fraudulent orders. Soldier Boy, the rapper, had a hoverboard brand called Soldier Boards. He was using Shopify and Shopify payments as well. And both these guys got in a hole. That's nothing bad about Shopify. I actually use Shopify and it works out excellent. What they were doing, they weren't monitoring their fraud filters. So, I mean, they had an order comes in from Canada for 5 hoverboards for like, $2,000, and the order is being shipped to Idaho. Like, why is an IP address in Canada or India or Pakistan or wherever else ordering hoverboards to Idaho? It doesn't make any sense, right? So you would not want to ship that order. They weren't monitoring their fraud filters, and that's how they got in a hole. So we're going to talk about how to avoid stupid mistakes like that, basically. Okay, so like I said earlier, credit card fraud, it was up 20% on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I mentioned last Christmas season, Tony Hawk's company went over $1 million in the hole, and Soldier Boy $500K in the hole due to fraudulent credit card orders. And like I said, credit card fraud is more common on high-ticket items or easy to resell fad-type items. I mean, if you're selling phone chargers or something like that, it's probably not going to be a huge problem for you. If I steal a credit card, I'm not going to go buy a bunch of $5 phone chargers. I'm going to buy a big-ticket item. But nonetheless, everybody should be aware and knowledgeable about, credit card fraud, how to avoid it, etc., because it can cost businesses a lot of money. So Shopify has some built-in tools to help you stop credit card fraud. So if any of you guys aren't using Shopify already, I'm a big fan of Shopify. I'll link to Shopify in the description box below where you can get a free 14-day trial. As you can see here, I obviously had to blank out some of this because I didn't want to show you I was going to say my customer, it's actually a scammer, but I didn't want to show you this person's information. So it says, authorized.net is reviewing this order for fraud. For more information on the status, please contact authorized.net. So I could log into my authorized.net account and actually see what fraud filters were set off by this. Shopify also has their own built-in system, and it says this high risk of fraud on this order. Before shipping this order or capturing payment, please review the risk analysis and determine if this order is fraudulent. So right front and center, right above my customer's information, right above the order, right in my face, it tells me this order is probably fraud. So I could do one of two things. I could either just right off the bat refund the order, Or I could look into it and be like, okay, what set this off? Like, does their shipping and billing address not match up? Was the IP address not located near where they're having it shipped to? Was the IP address outside of the country, et cetera? And so if you use Shopify payments, this is automatically built in for you. And even if you don't use Shopify payments, but you use a third-party merchant processor, you still have access to the Shopify fraud filter tools, which I think is pretty cool. I actually use my own merchant processor with authorize.net. The downside to that is Shopify charges me an additional, I think, 1% on my plan just as like a transaction or processing fee, which kind of sucks, but BigCommerce and pretty much everybody but Volusion and or your own like WordPress WooCommerce store is going to do this. So, it is what it is. I like Shopify. I use it despite that. But I do like this fraud filter. Like I said, front and center here, it shows me that this is a fraudulent order. So then I can go look at some more and I can see the risk level. This order is under review. You need to monitor the outcome of the review with authorize.net. And they rank it as high. The risk indicators, there is a risk of this order being fraudulent. Shopify's fraud analysis has detected the details appear suspicious. Contact the customer to validate the order. So I potentially could call the customer and be like, a lot of times a scammer won't even talk to you. They'll just avoid you. So if you're not able to get in touch with the person, it's probably fraud. I wouldn't ship it. But you might call them up. You might be like, hey, it says you ordered from a web proxy. Can I, do you mind me asking why that was? And some people are going to order from a proxy to hide their location or hide who they are. However, there are legitimate reasons. I mean, if somebody's using a VPN, like maybe somebody has a work computer and has a VPN is going to throw off the fraud filter because they have a changing IP address. The IP address isn't matching their location necessarily, et cetera. In this case, the customer did use a high-risk internet connection / web proxy to process the order. And here's the big red flag. The billing address is listed as United States, but the order was placed from Israel. Why is somebody from Israel ordering a product to go to Las Vegas? Now, I could click this detailed risk analysis, and I could actually see the person's IP address. I could see on a map where the order was placed from. You can just easily hop on Google and type in, where is this IP address or search IP address. But Shopify actually has like 2 links to sites where you can check the IP address and see where it's at. You can see exactly on a map. So even if sometimes the billing and shipping address won't match up, but I can see on a map that they're only like 10 miles away, which probably tells me, okay, that person probably ordered from their house and is having it shipped to their workplace. So you can look in a lot of this back-end data and see if an order really is high risk or if it isn't. And like I said, you can either choose to follow up with the customer. If it's a really high ticket item, you could say, hey, look, your order set off a bunch of our fraud filters. We're going to need you to send in a copy of a driver's license or state ID before we can process this order. Now, could somebody potentially have a fake ID or something? Yeah, but for the most part, you're going to cut out a lot of fraud this way. And then here's a further risk analysis. We strongly recommend reviewing this order. There's a high risk, the billing address was, so we see the same stuff. I don't really understand how the shipping and billing address is correct. Okay, so the shipping to billing address matched the credit card, but why is the customer placing the order from an IP address in Israel? We can get a little bit more information there. So, we know that fraud is common, especially around Christmas time, especially with high ticket items and or fad type items. I mean, if you're selling Hatchimals or Nintendo NES Classics or something like that, you're more likely to get hit with credit card fraud than somebody selling t-shirts. So how can you fight fraud? You can monitor your fraud filters. Like I said, Soldier Boy and Tony Hawk were not even looking at their fraud filters. Had they done that, they wouldn't have gotten in the hole. I mean, yeah, occasionally maybe something can slip through, but you're going to be a lot safer if you monitor your fraud filters. You may want to consider an additional service like Signified or chargeback insurance. Now, I think Shopify's built-in fraud thing is pretty good. Signified's a little bit better. It gives you a more in-depth score, and they have like more tools and resources at their disposal to, basically, does this spending fall in line with the customer's behavior? Does everything match up? Does the phone number match up, etc.? There's also something called chargeback insurance, and I wouldn't do this unless you have like a really, really high-ticket item or an item that's really common for credit card chargebacks or fraud. But basically what chargeback insurance is, it can work a number of different ways. Sometimes it's just an insurance to where basically whoever's offering the insurance is going to have a fraud filter. Anytime an order comes through, it may say, okay, this order has a score of 87, ship it. It may be if the score falls under 80%, they're going to tell you not to ship it. And as long as you don't ship it, they will cover, as long as you don't ship stuff that they determine to be fraud, if any fraud does happen, they'll cover the loss. So if I ship out a $500 stereo and it winds up getting a credit card charge back, but the company I have the insurance through told me to ship the item or told me it's a safe one to ship, they'll cover that $500 loss. There's other types of chargeback insurance where literally, like, if a customer places an order, they'll get a text message and they have to text back to basically verify, yeah, that is me who made the purchase. So that's another thing you can do. Another thing, make sure you're using tracking numbers and requiring signatures. This isn't just for Shopify. This is for eBay. This is for Amazon. I think it's always good to have tracking. If you don't have tracking, somebody can claim that they didn't receive something, and you don't have tracking, so you can't say one way or the other whether that's true or not. Also, everybody needs to make up their own mind, but personally for me, I would say, okay, anything over $250, I'm going to require a signature on. Now, that's going to help me if there is a credit card chargeback, and I have the signature saying that this person signed for it, they did receive it according to FedEx. That's going to help my case in the credit card chargeback. You may also want to consider requiring an ID for orders over a certain amount of money. I mean, you don't want somebody to order a $20 t-shirt and be like, I need to see your driver's license, buddy. But at the same time, if someone's ordering like a $1,500 item from you, I don't think it's unreasonable to make them send in a copy of a driver's license or a state ID. So for orders over a certain amount of money, you may want to require an ID. You may just want to call the customer and be like, hey, this is Jim from Jim Stereos. You placed an order with us. Just wanted to thank you for your order. Blah, just kind of get a feel for the customer. Does something seem off with them? Do they seem like a normal person ordering? You can kind of feel people out that way. And then lastly, know what to look for in a legit order. Like I said, you can see all the back-end details, whether something sets off a fraud filter or not. So just some things that I look for, like if someone's name is Jim Smith, is their email like j.smith@gmail.com, or is it like, Ahmed Kadashi, which just, why would a guy whose name is Jim on your order have like an email with a different name? Obviously, not everybody's name matches their email. My email might be rulesforrebels@gmail.com, but my name obviously in real life isn't Rules for Rebels. So, I mean, it's not foolproof, but that's just one little thing that I look for. Does the spending pattern make sense? I mean, if somebody orders like 10 hoverboards from me, that may seem a little bit weird. Do most people really spend $3,000 on 10 hoverboards? Do they have 10 kids? Does the IP address match the location? I mean, if their IP address is in California and they're placing the order with a billing address in Florida and having it shipped to Alabama, something just doesn't really jive there. So just some kind of common sense things to look out for there. So I just wanted to thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully maybe it helps you avoid some chargebacks or avoid some fraud during this holiday season. If you enjoyed the video, if you got something from it, please like, please comment, please subscribe. And if you guys have any questions, if you guys have any of your own stories to share about being scammed on your website or whatever, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below. Stay tuned, guys. I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos in the coming weeks, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.